last chapter, chapter 15, is individuality and genus. And it has to do with the question of what is the role of the individual in humanity. He says we have to be careful when we are establishing, when we're trying to say, what does the individual want to do? He's been talking to many women friends. Rudolf Steiner had many women friends who he consulted. Rosa Myrater, he said, was actually kind of the co-author of the book. They had long walks talking about this. But he said, the individual sets the goals according to what aims and ideas that they intuit, and they strive to achieve them in accordance with their capacity. Now, he said, it's very difficult to judge an individual depending upon whether depending upon their genus. Yes? That is, if you could say, well, that person is a woman, and therefore not suited to the work of a man, which is the most difficult of all of them. You could say one person, no, you're not the right gender, or you don't have the right nationality, or your language is not the right language. That's a complete feeling of frustration to the individual. The individual lives in the varieties of gender and nationality and race and so forth. But we could say the individual should establish what they are capable of achieving out of themselves. No one should say to a woman, that's not woman's work. And he says that in fact was the major problem of Rudolf Steiner's time. Women were being kept, they're still being kept under the thumb of controlling men, but he said women should determine for themselves what work they want to do and strive to achieve their goals depending upon themselves. It's not for men to determine what they're capable of doing, except for the women to decide what they want and what they're capable of doing. So he says we need to respect the individual beyond whether we're male or female, or whatever the variations are in our genus. So this gives us more or less a picture of again respecting the freedom of the spirit of the individual. The I lives in a particular context of nationality and race and gender, but that is not meant to be a limitation. It's meant to be an opportunity. In fact, many women are achieving a great deal more than men. In fact, Rudolf Steiner said, friends, by the way, how many men are there in this class right now? Yeah. So he said, in the future belongs to women. Because women, in fact, are much more spiritually attuned. In a male incarnation, it's harder for a man to come to a pure intuition than it is for a woman. So actually, although it looks like history has favored the power of the men, he says in the future that those tables are going to be turned around. The men will be less and less in positions of responsibility, because women, with their capacity for imagination and intuition, will surpass them. Yeah. So feminine incarnations will become much more important. So you're all in a good position here to succeed, not just because you're gender, but because of your capacities as individuals. Now, we're really at the end of our time. Any questions?
It's really keen to that we don't have enough time for last two chapters, and then what we could do. Yeah.
Again, if we had another 2 hours, we could perhaps do justice to the last chapters. But I think the essential gesture is there, and I'm hoping that you, again, I'm hoping, the highest tribute you can pay to the book is you said, I want to read it again. Yeah. So I'm hoping that you'll read it again, and read it again, and read it again. Because every time you read it, you will find new things, and it's really, Rudolf Steiner said this book he considered his most important contribution. He said this book will outlive everything else that he did. So even though we didn't have time in our particular rendering, I'm justifying, of course, the timing, but we had to spend a lot of time on chapter 4 to get through it, to really understand the struggles that philosophers and psychologists have trying to come to a picture. And thank goodness we have begun to found now a working epistemology, a working view of how we actually operate as human beings that is both human and accessible, and it's not insulting, and it's not limiting us in any way, but it's showing us what our true potential is. See, every one of us lives in this framework where the I lives in the center of our being and we have access to ideas that are that we choose to deliver, and we have the capacity through our moral technique and our will to deliver things to the world that never have existed before. And this is what great human beings have done. They contribute something to their progress, you see? But we also can understand and appreciate and love the world as it is. I mean, the world that exists is actually absolutely glorious. And we need to sharpen up our observation and our faculties of thinking, both in order to really become better human beings. Strengthen our will, strengthen our sensitivities. So the arts are really important, meditation, study, all these things are important. But as a complete human being, we have infinite possibilities, and we're only scratching the surface yet. I'm really looking forward to what all of you are going to achieve and what the rest of humanity is going to achieve when we overcome the limitations which we've accepted and really begin to deliver who we really can be. Because we really have a glorious future if we will but rise up and claim it. Yeah. So thank you for your patience and time.
Thank you.
I look forward to receiving